And the end of chapter 4, the last couple of verses, says, at the same time, I also said to the people, let each man and his servant stay at night in Jerusalem, that they may be our guard by night and a working party by day. So let's keep everybody busy, and let's make sure that we get enough rest and we're ready for the next day. But that we, how can you rest if you're fearful that maybe the enemy's going to come? So let's put some guys out over there. We'll attach some servants out over there, and they can sleep during the day. They have the night shift. What do they call it? When you work from midnight to 8 o'clock in the morning, or from 10 to 6 or something like that. Yeah, that shift. They got that shift. Let each man and his servant stay at night in Jerusalem, that they may be our guard by night and a working party by day. So neither I, my brethren, my servants, nor the men of the guard who followed me took off our clothes, except that everyone took them off for washing. So he says, hey, we finished work every day. We took a shower. We washed our clothes. And then we put them right back on, and we slept in our clothes just in case anything. So he was on the edge. I mean, he's not letting his guard down for anything. He's right there on top of it. Okay, now let's go to the 5th chapter. There was a great outcry of the people and their wives against their Jewish brethren. For there were those who said, we, our sons, our daughters are many, therefore let us get grain that we may eat and live. There were also some who said, we have mortgaged our lands and our vineyards and our houses that we might buy grain because of the famine. There were those who said, we have borrowed money for the king's tax on our lands and our vineyards. Now we got a problem, okay? The people have been really good at working. The vision has been shared. They've rallied around the vision. They've cultivated a passion for what they're doing, and things are going well. Everybody's working. They're staying up at night and watching, make sure that the enemy doesn't. All these things that are going on, trawl in one hand, sword in another, one eye on the enemy, one eye on all this stuff is going on. But he says, you know what? There's an underlying problem. There's something going on in the background a little bit. There was a great outcry of the people and their wives against their Jewish brethren. Uh-oh. We got a problem. It's causing division. There's a division. What was the problem? Here's what the problem was. The rich had been oppressing the poor. There was the haves against the have-nots. What had happened was there had been a famine in the land, and during this time, the haves were taking advantage of the have-nots. So there was not a lot of grain. There's not a lot of food to be had. So what's happening is people were mortgaging their future so that they could exist today. Ooh, there's something in there for us. There was a great outcry of the people and their wives against their Jewish brethren. For there were those who said, we, our sons and our daughters are many, therefore let us get grain that we may eat and live. There's hunger, dude. There's hunger. And the only way we can take care of this, in the midst of, we're working, and we have been, very diligent about this, but, we're not eating much. There were some who said, we have mortgaged our lands, our vineyards, and houses that we might buy grain because of the famine. So they were, what does it say? They mortgaged their lands, their vineyards, their houses. You know how it is. Well, I guess you can have, those 5 acres down at the bottom, but, Oh, and then next time it's, well, I guess you can have those 10 acres up on top because we still don't have any. And oh yeah, more than like a true problem is that the price of grain has gone up, brother. I'm just trying to take care of you and your family. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. We have borrowed money for our kings, for the king's tax on our lands and the vineyards. Not only were they mortgaging their future so they could eat, but also to pay the king's tax. Oh, that's probably where Sanballat maybe could be the reason why Sanballat wasn't a happy guy. Because he could see that tax was going to start going down. And he wasn't going to get his portion and send the rest of it off to Shushan, to Artaxerxes, and all the big shots that were over there in Persia. We have borrowed money for the king's tax on our lands and our vineyards. Yet now our flesh is as the flesh of our brethren, our children as their children, and indeed we are forcing our sons and our daughters to be slaves, and some of our daughters have been brought into slavery. It is not in our power to redeem them, for other men have our lands and our vineyards. He says it's getting so bad that we're having to sell our kids. I mean, slavery in those days, you're not, they said, okay, you owe me so much. You owe me 50. Well, I don't have 50. I'm still hungry. We still don't have any food. Well, I guess you're going to have to send your son over here to work for me to pay it off. And it was just a never-ending process. Another day, deeper in debt. What was that song that we used to sing? I owe my soul to the company store. Tennessee Ernie Ford, you'd have to go way back to hear that one. Yet now our flesh is as the flesh. Are we not the same? We're enslaved to our brethren. Aren't we the same? Aren't we of the same family? Aren't we of the same covenant? Don't we have the same brother? That's what verse 5 is all about. Yet now our flesh is the flesh of our brother, our children is children. And indeed, we are forcing our sons and our daughters to be slaves, and some of the daughters have been brought into slavery. It is not in our power to redeem them. We don't have the authority, the power. We don't have what it takes to get them out. For other men have our lands and our vineyards. They own our lands first, and then they take our kids. We don't have any land so that we can be productive to buy our kids back, to say, okay, he's not working for you anymore. He's coming back home to work the ranch. Verse 6, and I became very angry when I heard their outcry in these words. This was a problem that Nehemiah didn't know about. And somebody out there brought it to his attention. And he's not real happy about it. It's one of those things, hush, hush, shh, don't say anything. We got it kind of covered. Just the wink and the nod. That's all you had to do. The rich guy said, well, he'll go back one of these days, and the wall will be built, and our our future will even be brighter. And we'll still have slaves, and we'll still own their vineyards and their lands. Now, we kind of understand the economic system there. They really couldn't sell their land permanently. You have to understand the year of Jubilee. Every 50th year, everything had to return to its original owner. So depending on where you were in this 50-year cycle, what was going to happen and how you were going to get it back and all that stuff. But it was still, I can't wait 10 years. Can't even wait 5 years for the Jubilee to come back, so all of this property to come back into my hands. Nehemiah says, I became very angry when I heard their outcry in these words. He's probably just blowing the top off of his head and say, what? What? You guys are allowing this to happen? Is this really? Really, I became very angry when I heard their outcry and I heard these words.